Alright, in this video we're kind of taking things up a notch here. We're going to be multiplying a binomial by a trinomial, 2 terms by 3 terms, and then even looking at multiplying a trinomial by a trinomial, 3 terms by 3 terms, okay? Now, just like FOIL and just like the distributive property, we multiplied everything by everything, okay? That still holds true here. It's kind of like the distributive property where we're going to multiply the first term to each of these terms, and then we're going to go back and multiply the second term to each of those terms, okay? So it really does follow hand in hand with the distributive property in FOIL. We're multiplying everything to everything. It's just we're multiplying more of it, okay? So let's start with this first guy. And we might even color code this for the first part. So 3x times 2x squared is the first thing we're going to do. 3 times 2 is 6. X times x squared, even though we don't see this as an exponent of, let's see if I can zoom in, exponent of 1. And then we have x cubed, okay? Then we have 3 times a negative 7 is a negative 21. X times x is x squared. Then 3 times 6, 3 times 6 we have 18. And then of course we also keep our x, which is a part of the product. Okay, so we multiplied the first one to everything, kind of like the distributive property, and then we're going to multiply the second term to everything. Okay, so a negative 6 times 2, we get a negative 12 x squared. Then a negative times a negative, we're going to get a positive. 6 times 7 is 42. And then, of course, don't forget the x. And then a negative times a positive, we're going to get a negative. 6 times 6 is 36, okay? So we multiplied everything to everything. Then from there, it's kind of like when we're adding polynomials and we had to combine like terms, we're checking to see what goes together, okay? So first of all, looking at the highest power, it looks like the highest power is this guy, so we have 6x cubed, okay? Then combining like terms, I have a negative 21 and a negative 12. So if we add that together, we're going to get a negative 33x squared, okay? Then we also have 18 and 42. We can combine those. Those are both positive, so we're going to get 60. And then after we cross out all of these guys, if we use this, we're left with the minus 36. Okay, so that right there is multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. Okay, of course, we can also try, let's try number 2 here. Okay, so looking at number 2, it's still the same idea. We're going to be multiplying a binomial by a trinomial. And it's like I said, it's like applying the distributive property. Maybe we can color code this one again as well, just the first, another time around so you can see the different parts. But we have 8k times 4k squared. Okay, so we have 8 times 4, we're going to get 32. K is our base. K times k squared is k cubed, okay? And then the next guy we have is 8k times a negative k. And we can treat this like it's a 1, so 8 times a negative 1 is a negative 8. K times k is k squared. And then we have 8k times the negative 3. Positive times the negative is a negative. 8 times 3 is 24. And then we keep the k in our product, okay? So then we also want to multiply the 6 to everything. So 6 times 4. We get a positive 24k squared. 6 times a negative 1 is a negative 6, and keep the k in the product. And then a positive times a negative, we get negative 18. Okay, so then from there, again, we're combining like terms. We have 32k cubed is the highest term. We're done with that guy. Then we have our 24, our positive 24 and our minus 8. We can combine these two guys together. So this combines together to give us our plus 16k squared. And then we have our negative 24 minus 6. Okay, our negative 24 minus 6. And we get negative 30k. And then we have minus 18. Okay, so like I said, we're distributing everything to everything and then combining like terms just like when we're adding polynomials. Okay, so that was a couple examples of that. Let's also look at an example of a trinomial by a trinomial. Okay, now this is like the big guy as far as what we're going to do. You could go further than that. There's no limit to how many terms we can multiply, but this is a pretty good stopping point as far as what we're multiplying. So let's color code this one again. Let's go 8 times 3 is 24. And then x squared times x squared, add the exponents, that would be 4. Okay? Then 8 times x, we can treat that like a 1. So 8 times 1, we get 8. X squared times x, we get x cubed. And then 8 times 3, again, we get 24 x squared. Okay? Then let's try, let's see, there we go, get some room. The next one, so then we're going to multiply this term to everything. So we have 4 times 3, we're going to get 12. X times x squared, x cubed. 4 times 1x, we're going to get our positive 4x. But then x times x is x squared. And then 4x times 3, we're going to get plus 12x. Okay? And then that's the thing, though. Earlier, we only had to multiply that twice, and then we were done, right? Well, notice we still have the minus 6. So we're also going to multiply the minus 6 to everything, okay? So a negative 6 times 3 is a negative 18x squared. And then a negative 6 times our positive 1 here is a negative 6x. And then a negative 6 times 3, we get negative 18. Okay, so then from there, that's where we're getting into adding all this and combining like terms again. Okay, so the greatest term that I see is still this guy. So we have 24x to the 4th. Then we're looking for our x cubes. It looks like we have an 8x cubed, 12x cubed, and it looks like that might be it. So we have plus 20x cubed. Okay. Then we're looking for our x squared. So we have a 24, it looks like. We have a 4. And then we also have the minus 18. Okay. So 24 plus 4, we get 28. Minus 18, we'd have 10. So those guys are gone, and we have plus 10x squared. Okay. And then we have our x's, 12 minus 6, we have a positive 6x minus 18, okay? So that's multiplying a binomial times a trinomial and a trinomial times a trinomial.